Good afternoon, everybody. This is Robin with another edition of Horror Pop After Midnight. And my guest today is Marc Singer. How's it going, Marc?
Hey, Robin. Good to be with you. Thanks. I'm doing very well. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good over here in the Midwest.
I went to school for a couple of years at in Indiana University, so I'm familiar with the Midwest.
Yeah, I live outside of Cincinnati, and I'm originally from California, so yeah.
All right. Well, we've crossed paths.
Yeah, we crossed paths. All right, let's get into this film. I'm a strong supporter of independent cinema, and the film I just recently watched, it was Agent Recon, which stars you, Derek Ting, and of course Chuck Norris. So,
Right.
how did this script written by Derek entice you to play the role of Colonel Greene?
Well, they're basically there. Well, the script came in the usual way, which is through my agency and management. But the thing that usually sparks me to a script is, first of all, is it going to be a good movie? Can I see it in my mind as I'm looking at the script? Does it seem cinematic? Is there enough scope? Is there enough interest? Is there all the things that make a film, in my imagination, what a film should be? And is it there on the page? So Derek Ting certainly made that evident right away. But the clincher, and I think it probably is so with most actors, is the role. Is there something in the role that is weighty enough and complex enough to give the actor the scope and challenge him or her to bring forth all of the inner workings, given the parameter of the role, that are appropriate to it? I'll put it this way. When we're talking right now, you and I, whatever complexity in your personality that you might, in some other circumstance, share is not appropriate in this format. We're just conversation. It's just conversation between two people.
Yeah.
And so the same with me. But in the confines of the script, all that hidden complexity which is inside us, that's what's called for to be brought forward on the screen within the characterization that you're playing. And so I look to see in a script whether or not I'm going to have to dig deep and search around and bring forth something in that confine that's going to be powerful enough to keep me moving as an engine all forward, and to make the audience understand it, resonate with it, and enjoy watching the struggle.
Hey, that's a good answer. I like that. So, when you play Colonel Greene, I've seen a lot of your films, growing up, and how you play different roles. The role how you play Colonel Greene is a little bit unique from some of the roles you played back during the 80s and 90s, the films I grew up watching you in. I love your unique take on Colonel Greene. It was like totally different than some of the characters you played in the past.
Well, I appreciate that. I chose, as the characterization seemed appropriate, that this guy's a veteran, and that of many challenging moments in his life, being a combat soldier and a combat veteran, and myself, my own veteran standing as a member of the Hollywood community in filmmaking for so many decades, my own veteran status and the kind of etching that it makes upon one's demeanor and also inside oneself, that those things matched up pretty well with Colonel Greene. So one with the other. So it seemed to me appropriate to voice him in a certain way. And then I also have to say that if you consider my past work as Mike Donovan in V and the Beastmaster, you could say those were book one and book two, and this is book three. So I want the audience to see the growth and the maturation of those younger entities in this new formulation.
Hey, now I got another question for you. I talked to Derek because I had him on the podcast. It's a story. Tell me about the story where you stop at this gas station on the way to the set, and the cashier at the gas station has an interesting but cool, unique name. Since you're known for the Beastmaster.
You know what? You caught me at a loss. I remember the incident. we filmed this. I'll tell it to you this way. We filmed it out in the mountains north of Los Angeles, the desert mountains.
Yeah.
Extraordinarily wild and picturesque. We had deer wandering through the set in many shots. And we were filming on one of the legendary movie ranches of the Hollywood industry. I remember being struck with awe when I saw this strange, otherworldly town that we would be playing in and around, and all the staircases, the dark staircases, the rooftops, the alleyways in which a lot of the action takes place. But it was far out from the city center or from the outskirts of LA. And I know that one morning on the way to the set, as I'm chugging along in my vehicle, that suddenly it began making really strange noises. And the last thing you want to do is be stuck out on the freeway when they're looking to make the first shot of the day. I pulled into a gas station. And the young lady was very nice and kind behind the counter and gave me some motor oil or whatever else I thought I needed, and I got to the set on time. But I don't specifically remember her name.
Yeah, Derek told me her name was Dar.
Oh, that's right. Now I do remember. Right. That's right. And it's a weird synergy about that. That name has occurred 2 or 3 times in my life. Now I remember. Oh, I get why you brought that up. Yeah, that name has occurred 2 or 3 times in my life, and every time it's been some sort of significant moment like that. And it always, I don't think you can be at all sensitive without being aware that resonance strikes you somehow, and you think, what does this all mean? Yeah, she was. It was like, well, it was. Dar came to be my savior.
Hey, that even works, Dar came, from your character into this cashier to save you from the hot desert where that's an awesome story. That's what I have to say.
There's something else about that strikes me as I was trying to piece together the relevance of what I had to make as a comment to add to that, or to contribute to that. And I will say that little process that I just went through is indicative of how an actor's mind works. I think all actors work along lines somewhat like that, where any association with any idea that's presented to you is gathered in and given a kind of contextual relevance, and that goes into whatever it is you're trying to express at the moment, whether it's a character that you're discussing, or maybe a script, or any other creative process. That's that very eclectic thinking process of relating one thing to another that I think signifies the way actors think.
I think so too. And also, what was it like to work on the set with Derek King, since this was his film?
As I said in the beginning of our conversation, is that this is an amazing filmmaker. He's a writer, director, producer, leading character in the film, and that's enough to start a smoking habit in anybody. 3 or 4 packs a day, and yet he just carried it off as though we were at a Sunday brunch. It was the crew and the cast and the way everybody got along, and the ease in which he carried out his multiple responsibilities, wore all those different hats. It was just remarkable. He was fun on the set. He and I think, developed a really good working relationship. I know I enjoyed every moment of it. I look forward to more. An extraordinary guy. And by the way, very appealing on camera, and a hell of a good fighter too. I mean, he has some action scenes in there that he carries off with a kind of a skill and a grace and a sense of doing do that makes filmmaking fun in every instance. Yeah, a wonderful guy.
Yeah, he was. Like I said, he was fun to talk to, and I love some of the Easter eggs he put in the film. There was a couple lines that you mentioned from V, like the aliens, under the human skin. When you said that, I was like, yes.
That's typical Derek. It was more than just a sly joke and a wink and a nudge. It's also Derek paying tribute to the industry that's gone before and on whose shoulders he stands, and it's sort of a milepost for films and for films to come, that they too can remember and acknowledge the history that preceded them as well.
Yeah, that was pretty fun when I heard that. I giggled a little bit and I go, Derek was smart for adding it. And then when I was interviewing him, he also talked about how he joked around with you. He would make the little laser noises from the guns from V.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. Yeah, there's always room for silliness on the set. It's going to show up no matter what you're doing. You can be doing the most serious thing, and somebody's going to get the giggles.
I think so too. Since you've been in a lot of indie films, and you're like a strong supporter of indie films because where you started, you've did several indie horror films as well. So, are you a horror movie fan?
I like every movie. I like every movie that's worth liking, right? Mm-hmm. And that, of course, is always an individual and subjective opinion. But no, I watch movies of all types. I love westerns. I love personal dramas. I love good dialogue and situations where people have to figure each other out. And I tell you, I specifically love films where the audience has to catch up to the story. I think that's a great thing when you're sitting in a film and it's so well made that you're going, where are we going with this? Where are we? And when it finally dawns on you, you go, oh, wow, I see where we are. Oh, this is good. I like that. I like that feeling in a movie house. That's good.
I think so too, especially it keeps you on the edge of the seat. I like movies like that. Like you said earlier, on the podcast, you're well known for, Donovan on V, Dara on Beastmaster. But there's this one film I really enjoyed of yours when I was a kid growing up, and it really sucks you into it. It's just so good. How much fun did you play that role in If You Could See What I Hear?
Oh, when I was Tommy Sullivan, the young man who had lost his sight very, very early in his childhood. That was wonderful. That was a really extraordinary experience. First of all, we filmed it in the most picturesque place possible, called Peggy's Cove in Nova Scotia, Canada, and the Pacific was Copen blue, and the white wave caps were everywhere, and the seagulls wheeling overhead in the blue skies and the white puffy clouds, and everybody had a great time working there. But the experience of playing a person deprived of sight was a deepening experience for me, as an interesting exercise in experiencing the world in a different way. Everybody who watches this podcast that we're doing right now could try this. You just blindfold yourself and carry on a normal conversation for a period of time with someone that you're comfortable with, and see what it does to your comprehension and your perception about what's being said, how it's being said, and what the resonances that it sets up around you are. But I look at that film, if you could see what I hear, as in its day the quintessential expression of everything that I was as a performer rolled into one characterization. I got to do everything. I got to sing. I got to be athletic. And then the story itself provided just the right degree of opportunity for me to express what I thought were the most interesting aspects of myself as a performer. So I really love that film.
Now, another question is, say you decided to write a script. Say you decided you wanted to write and direct a movie which stars you in it. What type of film would you write and direct, and what type of character would you portray that you've never portrayed before?
Well, I would have to. There's sort of like two aspects to that question. One is what character or what genre have I not participated in
Yeah.
over 50 plus years of being an actor? That's a head scratcher right there. But what film genre would I want to participate in? I guess it would be anyone that would put the character on the spot. Ooh. And make him have to work as hard as possible to resolve his own standing within the situation.
Ooh, good answer. I was waiting for you to see if you're going to say that. That's one heck of a good answer. Also, there's films that you... Go ahead.
It's the best I've got.
I know, you were sitting there scratching your head. He's like, man, that's a good question. He's like, you got me good on that one.
I like that kind of stuff. That's interesting. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I like to answer these interesting questions. That's why I like to have fun on my podcast when I interview. I get to the main topic, and then I like to get some questions that really test you. It's like, oh, that's a good question. It's like, I like that. I wonder where he's going to go with that one next.
Yeah, there was a character trying to figure out his relationship to the situation right then and there.
Exactly, and you were playing that role to the T. Since there've been so many films that have been redone or rebooted or remade, do you think they would ever remake a Beastmaster film?
Oh, absolutely. Listen, sword and sorcery, fantasy-based storytelling is it's open-ended. There is an infinite place for there are an infinite number of ways that any story can go, and an infinite number of locations where they can be projected into. Sword and sorcery. And it also, I think it carries within it a kind of inherent appeal because it's so removed from daily experience, either historical or projected into the future, that there's a kind of an immediacy, like the immediacy of a dream, that strikes at the subconscious of the imagination of an audience's imagination. We all know the vividness of dreams, and we all know the credibility within ourselves when we participate in a dream, or a dream comes to us, however you want to express that. And there's something about sword and sorcery and the kind of nebulous settings and the and pardon the pun, the stripped down nature of the people who have to confront them. That is very dreamlike, and therefore I think it's something that strikes a little deeper in the belief system and in the suspicions, our more primal suspicions about life from way back in prehistory, whenever that may have been. Yeah, so there's a lot there in Sword and Sorcery.
I think so too. And then if you can go anywhere. I mean, like in the Beast, like you said, in the Beastmaster universe, you can do all kinds of spin-offs off of Dar and all that to explore. That's why sci-fi and sorcery and fantasy is like my second favorite genre of film, besides horror and action. And that's the same thing with horror films. Same thing. You can go further with that too, because when people most of the time when they write fantasy films or horror films, sometimes it's off their life or trauma where they're trying to get it out to make that good story.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. The stresses can come from so many directions at the same time, and all of them unusual to the extent that they can even be that they are most often, in fact, most effective when there are things that have never been dealt with before by the character who interacts with them.
I think so too. And now, going back to Agent Recon, you also got to work with a young actress in the film where she played your daughter. I loved how you portrayed that, how you built that intimate, chemistry with her. It really felt like you guys were like father and daughter. You just felt that realness, how you guys portrayed those two roles.
I think it comes down to one generation's feeling of empathy for another, and it's more personal, of course, if you're a parent. I'm a parent, but the idea that the older generations care about the younger generations, definitely care very much about them. That everything that we've tried to do that's of a positive nature, those of us who are more advanced in years, have been done with a sense of responsibility with an eye toward the responsibility that we have toward the generations coming behind us, to set up situations of life and existence on this planet that make life easier for them. I've never understood people who say, well, nobody helped me to get where I'm at.
Yeah.
Well, so what do you want to visit that on the other generations then for? You know how hard it was. Why don't you want to make it easier for them? I thought that was what this is all supposed to be about. So that sense of really caring was something that resonated in me in a way that I think shows up on film in my relationship with my daughter in that.
Yeah, like I said, it's pretty cool. I totally agree with you. You should help the younger generation. I mean, you should still go out, work hard, pay your dues, but also help somebody that's up there with you, at the same race, because at the end, you guys are going to both win anyway.
Yeah. We're all on the same journey.
Yes, we are. Definitely the same journey. Now, so what are some of your next projects? And also, where can they see you online and streaming for Agent Recon?
It's funny. I've been asked questions something like this before, and I would say nothing in Hollywood is real until it's real. Mm-hmm. So there are many creative projects in which I do play a part creatively in the inception of them. And there are a couple that are being floated, but I can't say that there has been any commitment yet. Okay. That I can say definitively. Yes. So I'd rather hold off on that kind of stuff right now. I forget, what was the second part of the question?
Okay, and the second part of the question is, where can they see you and Agent Recon on streaming?
Oh, I don't know. All of that kind of stuff, that's above my pay grade.
Okay.
I show up, they give me the lines, I say them, and I try to bring as much value to it as I can.
Hey, good answer. Good answer. We'll leave it like that too. So where can everybody find you on social media if they want to follow you to see what you're doing?
I live a hermit's life. I'm not on social media. They can come find you if they want to find me.
Definitely will. And one more last question before I get off with you, because I know you're a busy man. You're also a musician too. You play a mean good guitar. So have you ever thought about doing an album?
Yes. The short answer is yes. And my music and my composing is has taken a turn recently for the better. I've hit a good streak. Come up with some things that I'm very proud of and happy with, and I'd really like to have somebody else perform them, but because a music career is a departure for me from acting. It's an entire discipline in and of itself. But yeah, I've got some good stuff coming. Yeah.
All right, I'm looking forward to listening to it and seeing what you're going to do next. Thank you so much for coming on. It was a blast.
It was for me too. Thanks, Ron. And by the way, good questions. Very, very, very perceptive and deep. Much appreciated.
Hey, I had to test you, man. If you're going to ride the magic carpet with me, you got to be on your toes.
I believe it. I endorse that.
Exactly. And everybody, thank you for listening to Horror Pop After Midnight.